Welcome into Kitchen Talk Pickleball Edition. I'm your host, Caitlin Miller, and this week we have two twin sisters coming on. We have Sarah Brady and Ashley Corneal, the co-founders of Lay Pickle Club. Thank you guys both for coming on today.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Now, I just checked out your apparel. It's so awesome. It's pickleball inspired. I know there's a little French theme there. I mean, you guys have been entrepreneurs for a while. Tell me a little bit about, how you started this company and got involved in the pickleball space.
Yeah, absolutely. We were just on the heels of selling our previous apparel brand. We actually worked in women's hats. So this is not a far departure, but we wanted a brand that was a bit more playful. We had just started playing pickleball ourselves. We had kind of a tennis background and transitioned into playing pickleball, picked up paddles, loved it, couldn't, spend enough time on the court. And decided, after looking at the market and seeing that, there was not a lot of apparel options for women, we kind of came up with the idea of why don't we jump back into fashion, start up a new brand and see where we can take it. And then we decided, it needed to have a little more energy, liveliness, just to pair with the sport itself. And so that's where kind of the French infusion came into it.
Awesome. I love that. And how long, when did you guys come up with this idea and when did you actually, make it happen?
Yeah, so this was kind of in the back of our heads for quite some time, even while we owned our other business, Kin the Label. And so it kind of sat on the back burner while we came up with some ideas. And then once we sold that business, we fully jumped in head first, transitioned to it. It's about a 2-year-old company. But not to say we haven't been thinking about it and kind of building, what this brand meant and what the assortment would be. But officially we are, site is live 1 year ago.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
And
you.
we'll be sharing photos and put a link to your website, but if you could kind of describe the apparel and kind of the vision behind the brand to people listening, how would you describe it?
Yeah, the vision behind the brand is really kind of to exude that French je ne sais quoi, right? Qual attitude. So it's more or less kind of that effortless chic apparel. Our assortment is really sweatshirts, crop tees, tank tops, tees, stuff that is easy to wear, both on and off the court. I think when we design, it's more or less to give people options to have fun with their style on the court. There's going to be plenty of brands that focus on performance material for your serious pickleball players, but more or less, we are kind of the exclamation point to your outfit, is the way we like to look at it.
I love that. And it's such a smart, part of the industry to get into because I feel like there's so many paddle brands out there and, net brands and all this stuff. But it is so true when you walk around the pickleball courts. Like when I first started playing, I literally just wore all my tennis clothes because I was a tennis player myself. So, it's so good to see you guys getting into that. And have you seen it really grow? Would you say that side of the business recently?
You know, Yes and no. I think there is still that really cheesy, cheeky apparel out there. And I think that's where we wanted to completely, make a right turn and just leave that behind and not even dip into it. But yeah, we knew everyone probably had a court skirt or a favorite pair of leggings or everything, but we needed something just to make that exclamation point, whether it was, some French sayings or some fun back prints or taking it, to the court, but also going and brunching with your friends after and still feeling like fashionable kind of sets you apart from your friends and what they're wearing. I think, that was kind of where we wanted to take it.
I love that. And obviously, pickleball, the fastest growing sport. You both said you had tennis backgrounds, but what do you both love so much about pickleball and kind of getting involved in that industry?
I mean, I think for me, for one, it's just the ease of the play, right? There's kind of a low barrier to entry. I just think back on our childhood of just playing ping pong. It's kind of like the real life version of ping pong, but you happen to be on the court. So you're able to get a lot of friends involved. I've maybe a month ago, I was playing with my parents. They're 80 years old, all the way down to playing with my kids who are 10 years old. I think it's so social in that regard that you can also take it to a serious level and play with your girlfriends, and it's a great match. But at the end of the day, you're laughing after, maybe you're going out to lunch. It becomes this social atmosphere, and for me, I think that's the coolest part of it is because it can be as competitive as you want it to be, but it's more or less for just the fun of athletics and the fun of just being together outside or indoor, just playing a sport.
Yeah, and I think most important too is that community aspect of it, especially coming off of COVID years, everyone was very alienated that this is a sport that almost anyone can pick up, kids, grandparents, any caliber of athlete can pick up and just take it take it out with them, take it traveling with them. It's a small paddle, meet new people. I think the community social aspect was really, what resonated with us.
Definitely. And you both are based in Northern California. Is pickleball, I'm imagine, pretty big out there?
It is. I mean, I
Yeah.
do think, just with California weather, generally we have
Yeah.
nice weather to play a lot of sports. So it certainly has to compete with a lot of other sports we have out here. But the amount of clubs popping up, both private and public clubs, tennis courts being converted, some of
Right.
them
Yeah.
to pickle courts. I think it's wild to see groups also pull together and have a standing date to play pickleball, which normally would have been maybe tennis or a walking club or running club. It's definitely it's coming for the elementary schools and the high
Yeah.
schools, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah, that's awesome. And being a part of, a fast growing industry, and obviously you guys are based out of Northern California, but you want to sell your products, right, to everyone across the nation, maybe even internationally. How important would you say is like the online, like social media? Like, are you big on social media? Do you use brand ambassadors, or what are like big marketing tools that you use to get your name out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think in today's world, it is so noisy, no matter what type of brand you are. I mean, we are very
Yeah.
omni-channel, so we solely, for the time being, sell on our website, but being on social platforms is key because that's where we touch our customers too, and we talk to them. And we have a nice group of brand ambassadors that jump on board who are essentially our peer-to-peer advocates. And we have like that channel directly talking to them, getting feedback on the clothing, what they like and dislike. And that is super important for us, especially coming out with new product and building the brand. And I think, to deviate from where we came from hats, and selling that in our past business, community is like so big in this business. Even we touched on it of how social the sport is. I think having all these touch points that are even digital or going to events and sponsoring and building a community around Le Pickle Club and just the sport itself at all different calibers of players, I think it's so nice, and it's the best way to kind of get in touch without being face to face.
And what is it like? I don't know if you go to like do pop-up events and things like that, like getting out in the community. Is it really just refreshing and rewarding to see people there, wearing your apparel and on the court enjoying it or taking photos with it and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just they become part of your fan club, you become friends. It's just so nice to, so much of what we do is in a digital landscape. So to get the face to face, not only like reactions, but understand where people come from, how much they play pickleball, what they love about the brand. I think that's so key into, how we look at this brand 5 years from now, and what we decide to also bring in from an assortment perspective or the collaborations we do. Does it make sense for the people who actually love and wear our apparel? But more or less just to be friends and fans of the sport. We're all kind of a part of this growth together. And I think it's really cool just to get in front of people, to be at tournaments, to sponsor photo booths and have our apparel out there, or, whatever the event details are. But certainly something, we're going to add to the list in the next couple of years.
And what would you guys say are some of your, short and long-term goals of Lay Pickle Club?
So that's a very loaded question. Short-term goals, I think, are just building like community first for us. And really finding like what is that apparel assortment that resonates with through the season of pickleball playing. And I think, long term goals, we'd love to do build out more of the lifestyle around the brand. Maybe introduce some performance apparel. We'd love to get into, some court skirts and shorts and kind of have that total look for Lay Pickle Club. And then even farther out, just collaborations, maybe, with some top athletes, with some emerging athletes, or collaborations with like-minded brands, to really bring kind of that full scope, I guess, connection between player and just, casual player, pickleball player. We're kind of looking at it as a holistic approach to like the growth of Lay Pickle Club.
We have a saying we like to use, and it's on some of our garments, but it's "sies la bonne vie," and what it means is it's the life, right? And I think that's the way we think of pickleball and the sport. For a lot of us, like we kind of live and die by playing it, right? If you miss a week of playing pickleball, you're like, oh, my week is thrown off. I got to get back to that routine, right? There's some energy about just being on the court and hitting the ball, and so I think what we're trying to do is kind of pull the French lifestyle and fashion and, enjoying life, being outdoors, being with your friends, enjoying a sport you love, being active. I mean, all those things make up, sies la bonne vie. That is the life for us. And if we can somehow marry all those things together, then we've done it, we've made it, kind of thing. And I think that's what the epitome of the brand is. And that's kind of the ethos we stand behind.
I love that saying, and I love the French flair. Are you both French yourselves?
I am not, but we spend a lot of time in France. But Ashley's, yeah, go ahead, Ash.
Yeah, my husband's 50% French, and we've spent every summer we've been together in the south of France visiting his dad. So,
Beautiful.
he has a long history of it. We're very much rooted in it. His father's a French chef, so for me and for Sarah who visits every summer as well, it's just part of our life, and it just made sense to just kind of bring that other side of, I think, who we are as creators into the brand as well, and kind of help differentiate amongst everything else in the market for pickleball.
Yeah, for sure. No, I love that. And you both are obviously twin sisters, entrepreneurs, already have sold a company, worked together before. What is it like working together as sisters?
I know, I'm like, who's going to answer first? It's easy, to be honest. I think growing up, we were the best of friends. We played all the sports together. We did go away to separate colleges, so we obviously have our own strengths and weaknesses. I lead more of the creative direction. Ashley is more on, operations and customer relations and B2B stuff. So we have a pretty good sense of where our strengths are and where we need to lean on each other for a little assistance and, just collaboration. And I feel like because when you build a business, there is so much you have to do. There are so many hats you have to wear, so to speak. So we are constantly in communication. It doesn't matter what piece of technology it is. It's through email or text or through our iWatch. It doesn't matter. We are connecting all the time. So I think, it was just easy. It's just easy. I
Yeah.
think we get each other and we kind of know, where we need to pick up the pieces if someone, drops the ball.
Yeah, there's certainly never really an argument. I mean, I think if Sarah felt really strongly about an idea or a decision we were making, we're so intuitive in that way. I can read it as like, okay, like I'm gonna back off here, let Sarah take the lead on this. And I think it's nice. There's never obviously a power struggle. I mean, we're identical twin sisters. Like we get each other pretty well. And I think it's nice. We don't have to deal with kind of the politics, so to speak, of business owners and, did she make the right decision or he make it? I think it just comes natural. And like Sarah said, we both have our strengths and weaknesses, and we know where each of our like strengths lie, and then we go full force in letting that one person run in that direction.
Yeah, no, I love that. And just having that strong communication and just you obviously have known each other since birth. So I just feel
Right.
like reading one another and how you operate, it is so critical with business. So that's
Totally.
amazing. You guys have that. And just out of curiosity, obviously, you guys have had a successful fashion business. Now, working with apparel in an industry that, people refer to the pickleball world as the wild, wild west. It's always changing, it's growing, it's new. Everyone's trying to make their mark. What would you say are the biggest challenges in working in an industry like this?
Well, I think you could look at it twofold. I think the fashion industry alone is a very challenging industry. We when we sold Kin the Label, we decided with this business we were going to take our learnings and try and do something different. Um, you know, we produce custom orders, so we are not a company who holds inventory and hopes the season sells. We don't work seasonally either. We don't want to hold overhead stock knowing that it won't sell months from now and then we're discounting it or having to get rid of it. We decided we are a sustainable, eco-friendly model, simply because the fashion industry has to go there. I think when you look at pickleball and the ever-evolving landscape, I think the Wild West idea is fun to us. We came from the fashion industry that was cyclical. We had to design a year out. It had to be at this deadline. I think the fact that we can just come up with ideas and put them into the market and see how our fans react and if customers buy it. If not, we don't have stock that we have to worry about. We'll flip it. And I think that's fun and freeing. And as designers, that's the way we want to do it. We want to be able to give our customers what they want, what they need, and enjoy it without worrying about, did that go into a landfill? Did we produce too much? So I think it's interesting. Every week's different in pickleball. And I think for us, it's also a lot of education and continuing to learn as we go. And if you're not learning, then you're stalled out, you're stale. So for us, it's just exciting. Week to week is different. There is no routine over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. And what advice, just having been through it and learning every day, like you said, what advice would you give to someone, trying to start their own business in this industry?
Yeah, I mean, because it's always evolving, I think I just go back to basics of building a business outside of pickleball. But it's really knowing who your target audience is, having that one persona, that demographic that is not super broad, but it's a very niche, group of people that you can really talk to. So it's having, your product really speak to them, solving that problem they might have with it. And being able to talk to them directly, I think it'll resonate so much better. We always use the term like MVP, right? Minimum viable product. So with this business, especially as Ashley just spoke to, we can get products out pretty quickly. So, and test them and, modify them and retest them. So I would say, don't try and make the most perfect product, right? Don't get it to its most perfect state that you have visually in your head. Just get it out to the market, see how people react, take it back, reinvent, and then put it out there and feel okay about, about transitioning and evolving. And I think that's what makes you kind of stand out in the market is you're staying current. And be ready to wear a ton of hats but that's the beauty of entrepreneurship, right? You get to do it all and you get to have your say in almost everything.
Yeah, that's what I love too. Went from corporate America to now working for a small business, and I love being creative and having, more of a voice and being able to say, no, we should do this or try this. It's all about, trying things. If it works, great. If it doesn't, you're moving on to the next trial and error. So I love that side. And I agree with like the Wild Wild West being fun and you just never know what's coming next, how it's going to change. And I personally also find that exciting too.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like there's no rules, and it brings me back to like
Yeah.
our kid era, like no rules. Okay, I'm gonna do what I want, but it actually it gives you the liberty to just try things, and I think as an
Right.
entrepreneur, that's so cool, right? Because you got into this business to do it your way and to show the world what you have, and I think the Wild West idea. I'm almost picturing a T-shirt, but
Yeah, there you
we'll
go.
do it for maybe next collection.
I love that. And if people want to check out your apparel or any, events that you might be showing up to in the near future, how can they do that?
Everything is on lepickleclub.com, and they can also find us on Instagram at lepickleclub. And everything that they need is there, and reach out with questions or if they just want to chat and learn more about the company, we're here.
And also the ambassador program too, because I know people every day kind of ask like, oh, I'd love to get involved with some
Yeah.
companies. What does that process look like too?
Yeah, the process is fairly straightforward. We have a portal on our website, again, just lepickleclub.com. You can scroll down to the brand ambassador portal. You can sign up. It's a simple form. And then from there, we make a handful of selections, but, most people, if you're an enthusiast of pickleball and you like the brand and are aware of it and are willing to kind of be that peer-to-peer spokesperson, then we onboard you. You have an affiliate code. If you'd like to pass off the code to friends and family, you automatically get a 20% discount on your first purchase. And then for your friends and family, if they use your code, you get 10%, they get 15% off. So it's kind of a commission-based system. And then from there, we do drops where, our brand ambassadors get free gear. And the idea is wear it, talk about it, take some video of it, share it. It's just be an advocate of the brand and just join the club. And that's kind of all we ask of our ambassadors. You can do
And
as much as they
yeah.
want or as little as they want, but at the end of the day, just support the brand and yeah, and we'll keep the free gear flowing.
Well, and I feel like too with your gear, there, like I saw the Opera Pickleball, like I feel like a lot of your products are conversation starters because they are different and they have a lot of cool sayings where, someone might be like, oh, what does that mean? Or what does that stand for? And things like that. So I think just looking at, your website and your products, that is a really cool and unique part of your apparel.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, it is we design it in a way so you stand out, right? So you don't show
Yeah.
up with what everyone else is wearing, and it has that very distinct point of view. And I think that's where we wanted the brand to sit. And so I'm glad it resonates and you see it,
Yeah.
and yeah, more to come.
Awesome. Well, everyone go check out Lay Pickle Club online on Instagram and social media. And Sarah Ashley, it was so fun hearing
Yeah.
your story. I can't wait to check out more of your apparel as it drops. And thank you so much for joining us and stay tuned to see who will join us in the kitchen next time.